Are you really ready to face the ugly truth? Or are you going to keep hiding behind the pathetic shield of niceness? Because, let's be crystal clear, the friend zone isn't some mythical, unfair purgatory women randomly assign men to. It's a self-made prison, constructed brick by painstaking brick, with every submissive act, every unspoken desire, every desperate plea for validation disguised as a friendly gesture. We're not talking about genuine kindness, generosity of spirit, or basic human decency. Those are admirable qualities possessed by strong men and women alike. We're talking about the insidious, corrosive niceness that's become a plague A performance, a charade, a transactional strategy employed by men who fundamentally lack the guts to be authentically themselves. They believe that by showering women with undeserved attention, agreeing with everything they say, and acting as a doormat, they'll somehow earn affection, like collecting loyalty points in some twisted emotional rewards program. It's pathetic, it's repulsive, and it never works. Think about it. Have you ever seen a truly confident, powerful man, the kind of man who commands respect and naturally attracts attention, groveling for approval? Have you ever seen him shrink from expressing his own opinions, fearing conflict like it's a deadly disease? Absolutely not. He doesn't need to. He owns his desires, his opinions, his very being. He's not afraid to challenge, to disagree, to lead. And that, my friend, is the fundamental difference. That is the chasm that separates the alpha from the perpetually friend-zoned. This nice guy niceness is a mask, a carefully constructed facade designed to hide a deep-seated insecurity, a crippling lack of self-worth. It's a desperate attempt to be liked, to be accepted, to avoid rejection at all costs. But what it actually communicates is weakness, neediness, and a complete absence of boundaries. It screams, I'm not worthy of your genuine affection, so I'll try to buy it with manufactured niceness. It's a repellent, not an attractant. Women are biologically wired, whether they consciously admit it or not, to seek strength, confidence, and leadership. They crave a man who can stand his ground, a man who isn't afraid to take charge, a man who knows his own value. The nice guy, in his desperate attempt to please, inadvertently signals the exact opposite. He's a doormat, not a dominator, a follower, not a leader, a supplicant, not a sovereign. He is, in essence, less than a man. He will be used, and after it, he will be placed in that jail cell, with the steel door named Friend Zone that will close behind his back for many long years. He will wonder why, but he will not understand. So, prepare yourself. This isn't going to be a comfortable conversation. We're going to rip away the veil, expose the raw nerve of your insecurities, and force you to confront the uncomfortable truths you've been desperately trying to avoid. We're going to dismantle the nice guy lie, brick by agonizing brick. Are you ready to be ruthlessly honest with yourself? Are you ready to finally escape the self-made prison of the friend zone? Or will you continue to play the victim, blaming women, blaming society, blaming everything but your own pathetic lack of backbone? The choice, as always, is yours. But choose wisely, because your entire romantic future hangs in the balance. This is not a joke. This is war. The seduction of submission. Unveiling the nice guy's fatal flaws. Listen closely, because what I'm about to tell you will shatter the illusion you've been living under. We're diving headfirst into the abyss of the nice guy persona, exposing the festering core of behaviors that are repelling women and locking you in the friend zone. Are you ready to face the truth? Excessive agreeableness. It's a disease. You nod along to everything she says, even if you disagree. You laugh at jokes that aren't funny. You pretend to be interested in things that bore you to tears. Why? Because you think that by being agreeable, you'll somehow earn her affection. It's pathetic. Women don't want a mirror, they want a man, a distinct individual with his own thoughts, opinions, and dare I say, backbone. Imagine a dog constantly wagging its tail, desperate for a pat on the head. Is that attractive? Hell no. It's subservient, and subservience is the antithesis of attraction. Conflict avoidance. This is another killer. You're terrified of disagreeing with her, of rocking the boat, of causing even the slightest ripple in the placid waters of your fabricated harmony. You swallow your objections, bury your desires, and become a spineless, amorphous blob of agreeability. But here's the brutal truth. Conflict, handled correctly, is a sign of strength. It shows you have boundaries, that you're not afraid to stand up for yourself, that you're not a pushover. Think of a lion flinching from a gazelle. Ridiculous, right? A man who avoids all conflict is equally as emasculated. This isn't about being aggressive. It's about being assertive. Validation seeking. Oh, this is a classic. You're constantly fishing for compliments, seeking her approval for every little thing you do. Do you like my shirt? Was that joke funny? Am I doing okay? It's like you're holding up a sign that screams, I need your validation to feel worthy. This desperate need for external approval is a gaping wound in your masculinity. It radiates insecurity and neediness, two of the most unattractive traits imaginable. Women are biologically wired to seek strength and confidence, not a quivering mass of insecurity begging for reassurance, and the desperate need for approval. It's the overarching theme, the poisoned root from which all these other flaws sprout. You're so terrified of rejection, so desperate to be liked, that you contort yourself into a pretzel of inauthenticity. You become a chameleon, constantly shifting your colors to match her perceived preferences, losing all sense of your own identity in the process. It is an absolutely disgusting and unattractive show. Picture this, a man constantly apologizing for things that aren't his fault. Oh, I'm so sorry, the waiter got your order wrong. I'm so sorry, it's raining. He's taking responsibility for things completely outside his control, all in a pathetic attempt to appear considerate. But it backfires spectacularly. It makes him look weak, ineffectual, and frankly, a little bit ridiculous. Or consider the man who never expresses his own opinions. He's asked, "What kind of movie do you want to see?" His response, "Oh, whatever you want." He's terrified of making the wrong choice, of disagreeing with her, of even having a preference. This signals a complete lack of self-respect and boundaries. He's basically saying, my desires don't matter, only yours do. And that, my friend, is the express lane to the friend zone. Let's talk about toxic masculinity for a moment. The media loves to demonize it, and rightfully so, in its extreme forms. But what they don't tell you is that the complete absence of assertiveness, the extreme, nice guy end of the spectrum, is equally destructive. It's like having a car with no brakes. You're going to crash, and it's going to be ugly. Complete lack of assertiveness, often mistakenly labeled as the antidote to toxic masculinity, is a poison in its own right. It emasculates you, rendering you incapable of navigating the complex dynamics of relationships and life itself. You need that fire, that controlled aggression, that willingness to stand your ground. Without it, you're doomed to be a doormat, trampled underfoot by everyone, especially women. You need an iron will and steel discipline to stand for anything and avoid being nothing. These behaviors, excessive agreeableness, conflict avoidance, validation seeking, and the desperate need for approval, they're not signs of kindness. They're symptoms of a deep-seated lack of self-worth. They signal to women on a primal, subconscious level that you are not a strong, confident, capable man. You are, in essence, broadcasting your unsuitability as a romantic partner. You are screaming, "I am not worthy." And women, sadly, will believe you. Are you finally ready to stop screaming and start commanding respect? Are you ready for ruthlessly honest change? The power of polarity. Why women crave dominance and how you've been doing it all wrong. Listen up, because this is where most men get it catastrophically, embarrassingly wrong. We're diving deep into the fundamental principle of sexual polarity, the magnetic force that draws masculine and feminine energies together. And let me be brutally clear, this isn't about being a caveman. It's not about being aggressive for the sake of it. It's about understanding the primal dance of attraction, the inherent biological wiring that dictates desire. You've been fed a lie, a poisonous narrative that equates masculinity with toxicity and weakness with virtue. It is an absolute, utter, and complete fabrication. Generally speaking, women are drawn to masculine energy. What does that actually mean? It's not about muscles or money, although those can be expressions of underlying power. It's about assertiveness, decisiveness, and yes, a healthy dose of dominance. Not domination over women, you imbecile, but dominance over yourself, your life, your domain. It's the unwavering confidence that comes from knowing who you are, what you want, and being completely unafraid to pursue it. Are you starting to get the picture? Or do I need to spell it out in crayon? Think of it like a magnet. 2 positive poles repel. 2 negative poles repel. But a positive and a negative. Bam. Instant attraction. The same principle applies to human relationships. You, Mr. Nice Guy, have been desperately trying to attract women by being another feminine energy, another source of validation and emotional support. You've been playing the role of the girlfriend, not the lover. And then you wonder why you're stuck in the friend zone. It's astonishing you haven't figured this out sooner. Let's challenge you right here, right now. How deep-seated is your fear of rejection? How crippling is your need to please everyone, especially women? Be brutally honest with yourself. Do you constantly apologize for things that aren't your fault? Do you avoid conflict like it's the plague? Do you stifle your own opinions to avoid disagreeing with a woman you're attracted to? If you answered, yes to any of these, you're sabotaging your own chances of attracting the women you desire, or actively repelling them with your submissive, needy energy. You are showcasing that you are weak. Now, let's talk about game and pickup artistry, Pua. I'm not here to tell you to become a manipulative jerk, memorizing lines and routines. But let's be intellectually honest. What do these techniques, at their core, attempt to do? They try to simulate the characteristics of a naturally attractive, high-value man. They fake confidence, they fake dominance, they fake social proof. Why? Because those things work. They tap into the primal wiring of female attraction. The problem is that it's a facade, a house of cards that inevitably collapses. But the underlying principle that women respond to these traits is undeniably true. This is not my opinion. This is a demonstrable, observable fact. Consider the male hierarchy and the social pecking order. Whether you like it or not, these hierarchies exist. Humans, like all social animals, are constantly assessing each other's value. It's not always conscious, but it's happening. And women, generally speaking, are attracted to men who demonstrate higher social value. This doesn't mean you have to be a billionaire CEO. It means demonstrating competence, leadership, and the ability to navigate social situations with confidence. It means being a man who commands respect, not through force, but through presence. Let me give you a shocking, real-world example. I once knew a woman, incredibly beautiful, intelligent, successful, who was dating a guy who, on paper, was unimpressive. He wasn't particularly wealthy. He wasn't particularly handsome. But he had something that most men lack: unshakable confidence. He was completely comfortable in his own skin. He wasn't afraid to challenge her, to disagree with her, to lead the interaction. He didn't put her on a pedestal. He treated her like an equal, but with an underlying current of masculine energy. And she was madly in love with him. Why? Because he triggered something primal within her. He wasn't afraid to embrace his masculinity, and she responded to it on a visceral level. Another, perhaps more disturbing example. Think of the bad boy archetype. Why are so many women drawn to these men, even when they know, logically, that they're no good for them? It's not because they're bad. It's because they often exude a raw, untamed masculine energy. They're not afraid to break the rules, to take risks, to be dominant. Again, I'm not advocating for being a criminal or a jerk. I'm highlighting the underlying principle. Women are drawn to men who embody strength and confidence, even if it's expressed in a flawed or even destructive way. The bad boy shows no fear, and fear is a repellent. So the question is, are you going to continue playing the role of the nice guy, pathetically hopping for scraps of affection? Or are you going to finally embrace your inherent masculine power, cultivate genuine confidence, and become the kind of man who naturally attracts the women you desire? The choice, as always, is yours. But don't come crying to me when you're still stuck in the friend zone, complaining that women only like jerks. Because the truth is, women like men, real, authentic, unapologetically masculine men. Are you man enough to become one? From doormat to dominator, building unbreakable boundaries and cultivating ruthless self-respect. This is where your pathetic existence as a nice guy ends. This is where you forge yourself anew in the fires of self-respect and unshakable boundaries. Are you ready to finally shed that repulsive skin of neediness and become a man who commands respect, a man who dictates his own reality? Or will you continue to cower in the shadows, begging for scraps of affection? Let's be brutally honest. You've been a doormat. You've allowed others to walk all over you, to dictate your emotions, to drain your energy. Why? Because you've been operating under the delusion that being nice, meaning agreeable, compliant, and conflict avoidant would somehow make you desirable. Wrong. It makes you a target, a pushover, a non-entity in the eyes of women, and quite frankly, in the eyes of anyone with a shred of self-respect. You're a man who's never learned the true meaning of power. You've confused it with aggression or cruelty. They are not. Power is the capacity to stand up to yourself, say what you think, and go for what you want without apology, without hesitation, and without fear. Actionable steps forging your iron will. 1. The sacred no. This is your new mantra. Start saying no to everything that drains you, that doesn't align with your values, that feels like an obligation rather than a genuine desire. Practice it. A friend wants to borrow money you don't want to lend. No, a colleague asks you to cover their shift when you're already exhausted. No, a woman you're not truly interested in asks you out. No, each no is a brick in the wall of your self-respect. Each no is a declaration of your independence. Feel the power surge through you with each refusal. At first, it will feel uncomfortable, even terrifying. You'll be met with resistance, with guilt tripping, with attempts to manipulate you. Do not yield. This is your test. This is where you prove to yourself that you are no longer a slave to the whims of others. 2. Boundary construction. The fortress of self. Define your boundaries clearly, explicitly, and unapologetically. What are you willing to tolerate? What are you not willing to tolerate? Communicate these boundaries to everyone in your life. This isn't about being difficult. It's about respecting yourself. For example, I value my time, so I won't respond to texts after 10 p.m. Or I'm not comfortable discussing my finances with you. Or I need you to respect my opinion, even if you disagree with it. And when someone crosses those boundaries, and they will enforce them, do not back down. Do not apologize. Do not explain. Simply state the boundary again, firmly and calmly. If they continue to violate it, walk away. This is crucial. You are teaching people how to treat you. If you tolerate disrespect, you are inviting more of it. 3. Prioritize you, the ruthless pursuit of self-improvement. Your needs, your desires, your goals, these are paramount. Stop putting everyone else first. Start carving out time for yourself every single day. What are your passions? What ignites your soul? Pursue them relentlessly. Hit the gym, learn a new skill, start a business, conquer a fear. This is not selfishness. This is self-preservation. This is about becoming the best possible version of yourself. A man who is constantly striving, constantly improving, is a man who exudes confidence and attracts admiration. This is a constant, never-ending journey. There is no final destination. There is only the relentless pursuit of excellence. Think of the Spartan warriors. Their lives were dedicated to discipline, to hunting their bodies and minds into weapons. You must adopt a similar mindset. You must become a warrior of self-improvement. For confrontation and assertiveness training, unleash the beast within responsibly. This is not about becoming a violent thug. This is about learning to express your needs and defend your boundaries assertively, without aggression, but also without fear. Practice speaking your mind, even when it's uncomfortable. Practice disagreeing with people, even when it might lead to conflict. Start small. Challenge a friend's opinion on a movie. Disagree with your boss on a minor point. Gradually increase the stakes. This is like lifting weights for your confidence. The more you do it, the stronger you become. Consider taking a self-defense class or joining a debate club. These are excellent ways to develop your assertive communication skills and learn to handle confrontation with grace and power. Imagine yourself as a lion, calm and confident, but capable of unleashing devastating force if provoked. That is the energy you want to cultivate. 5. No more Mr. Nice Guy. The philosophy of authentic strength. Embrace the core principles of Robert Glover's work. Understand that covert contracts, unspoken agreements, where you expect something in return for your niceness, are toxic and manipulative. Recognize your own patterns of people pleasing and validation seeking. Learn to identify your needs and express them directly, without apology or expectation. This is about becoming radically honest with yourself and with others. It's about shedding the mask of niceness and embracing your true, authentic self, flaws and all. It's about rejecting the notion that you need to be perfect to be worthy of love and respect. 6. Stoicism. The art of emotional resilience. Embrace the teachings of Stoicism. Learn to control your emotions, to detach from external outcomes, to focus on what you can control: your actions, your thoughts, your reactions. This is not about suppressing your emotions. It's about mastering them. It's about developing the ability to remain calm and centered in the face of adversity. It's about cultivating an unshakable inner strength that cannot be broken by external forces. Imagine a storm raging around you, but you remain rooted like a mighty oak, unyielding and unmoved. That is the power of Stoicism. Read Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus. Absorb their wisdom. Let it become a part of your very being. The journey from doormat to dominator is not easy. It requires relentless self-awareness, unwavering discipline, and a willingness to confront your deepest fears. But the rewards are immeasurable: unbreakable self-respect, genuine confidence, authentic connections, and a life lived on your terms. Are you ready to claim that life? Are you ready to become the man you were always meant to be? The choice is yours. Embrace your power and step into the light. Remember, an iron will is forged in the fires of adversity. Only through consistent, relentless effort can you escape the prison of the nice guy and become the master of your own destiny. The world awaits a strong, resilient, and capable man, not a whimpering, pathetic boy. Show them who is the boss. Reclaiming your masculinity, the path to authentic attraction and lasting relationships. Are you ready to finally shed that suffocating skin of the nice guy and step into the raw, undeniable power that lies dormant within you? This isn't about becoming a caricature of masculinity. It's about forging yourself into the strongest, most authentic version of you. It's about becoming a man who commands respect, not through intimidation, but through the sheer force of his presence and unwavering self-worth. Forget the manipulative tactics, the desperate pleas for attention, the pathetic attempts to buy affection with feigned kindness. True, lasting attraction is built on a foundation of genuine connection, of mutual respect, and let's be brutally honest, your ability to stand as a pillar of strength and independence. Women are not looking for a project. They're looking for a partner, a man who can stand shoulder to shoulder with them, not a quivering mass of neediness clinging to their ankles. How do you achieve this seismic shift? It starts and ends with you. What are your passions? What sets your soul on fire? Is it conquering a mountain peak, mastering a musical instrument, building a business empire from the ground up? Dive headfirst into these pursuits. Become obsessed with self-improvement. A man consumed by his purpose radiates an energy that is undeniably magnetic. He doesn't need a woman to complete him. He's already whole. And that, my friend, is the ultimate aphrodisiac. Consider the provider-protector mentality. This isn't about archaic gender roles or becoming a walking ATM. It's about embracing your inherent drive to provide and protect, not just for a potential partner, but for yourself, your family, your community. It's about standing as a shield against the storms of life, a beacon of strength in a world that often feels chaotic and uncertain. This doesn't mean you have to be a millionaire or a special forces operative. It means taking responsibility for your life, for your choices, for the impact you have on the world. It is taking responsibility and viewing these shackles as tools for your power. Discipline and self-mastery are the cornerstones of this transformation. Are you a slave to your impulses, your emotions, your fears? Or are you the master of your own domain? Cultivate iron discipline. Learn to control your reactions, to channel your energy constructively, to delay gratification in pursuit of long-term goals. This means hitting the gym, even when you'd rather stay in bed. It means saying no to that extra slice of cake, that extra hour of video games, that pointless argument. It means embracing the discomfort of growth, knowing that every challenge overcome forges your will into unbreakable steel. Remember, true attraction stems from being a strong, independent, and self-respecting individual. This isn't about arrogance. It's about unwavering confidence in your own worth. It's about knowing that you are a valuable, capable, and desirable man, regardless of whether you're in a relationship or not. It's about absolutely rejecting any trace of femininity in the traditional sense when speaking of a man that might hold you back, embracing instead the raw, untamed power of your masculine core. It's about ruthlessly eliminating weakness and cultivating unshakable self-belief. And that kind of power is not something to be ashamed of. It is the power of a man who chooses. This journey isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming the best version of yourself. It's about unlocking the potential that has always been there, buried beneath layers of self-doubt, societal conditioning, and the crippling fear of rejection. It's about becoming a man who commands respect, not through force, but through the sheer authenticity of his being. It's about attracting genuine connection, not through manipulation, but through the undeniable power of his presence. The ultimate goal: to become utterly unstoppable, to become a force of nature, a man who lives life on his own terms, who attracts what he desires, and who leaves an indelible mark on the world. Are you ready to claim that power? Are you ready to become the man you were always meant to be? Are you still listening? Or are you ready to finally become the man you were destined to be? Let's cut the crap. We've dissected the disease, diagnosed the weakness, and prescribed the cure. You've been living a lie, a pathetic performance of niceness that's gotten you absolutely nowhere, but a one-way ticket to the land of eternal friend zoning. This isn't some feel-good pep talk. This is a goddamn wake-up call. The friend zone isn't a place women cruelly put you in. No, it is a steel-barred, self-constructed prison built with the bricks of your own insecurities, your own fear of rejection, your own spineless inability to assert yourself. You've been your own jailer, handing over the key every time you prioritized her feelings over your own, every time you bit your tongue instead of speaking your truth, every time you acted like a doormat instead of a man. We talked about the seductive poison of submission, the excessive agreeableness, the pathetic validation seeking, the constant apologizing for existing. These are the traits of a beta, a follower, a boy. Women are biologically hardwired, whether they admit it or not, to crave a man who leads, a man who takes charge, a man who isn't afraid to stand up for himself and his desires. Remember the raw, primal power of polarity. You've been operating on the wrong frequency, broadcasting weakness and neediness instead of strength and confidence. We touched on game and pua, not to turn you into a manipulative monster, but to illuminate the underlying principles, the simulation of dominance and high social value that, unfortunately, works. You need to understand this, not to become a fraud, but to recognize the game that's being played and finally start playing to win. We laid out the blueprint for your escape, forging unbreakable boundaries, cultivating ruthless self-respect, learning to say no without feeling like a monster, and embracing confrontation as a tool, not a threat. We explored the no more Mr. Nice Guy philosophy, the power of stoicism in building an emotional fortress, and the absolute necessity of developing an iron will. This isn't about being an asshole. It's about becoming a man of unwavering principle, a man who commands respect because he respects himself. Imagine a life free from the constant fear of rejection, free from the soul-crushing weight of unfulfilled desires. Imagine waking up each day with a burning sense of purpose, a clear vision of who you are and what you want, and the unwavering confidence to go out and get it. This isn't some fantasy. This is your birthright. To reclaim your masculinity is to reclaim your power, to step into your authentic self, and to attract the kind of genuine, passionate connection you've been desperately craving. It's about becoming the provider, the protector, not out of obligation, but out of inherent strength. It's about mastering your emotions, hunting your discipline, and becoming utterly unstoppable in the pursuit of your goals. It's about forging a life of purpose and meaning, a life where you're not just existing, but thriving. The choice is yours, and yours alone. Will you remain in your self-made prison, forever lamenting the women who friend-zoned you, or will you finally smash those bars to pieces and step into the light? Will you continue to be a victim of your own weakness, or will you seize the power that is rightfully yours? The friend zone isn't a place you're put in. It's a prison you build for yourself, and only you hold the key. You have the power to unlock the door, to walk out, to become the man you were always meant to be. Will you have the guts to use it? Do you possess the steel will, the iron discipline, the ruthless bravery to finally break free? Only a man of true, unwavering strength can do so. The question isn't if you can escape. The question is, will you?